One of the most delicious, flavorful comfort meals that I know. Chicken tikka masala, saag paneer, flatbread, and rice on the side. But wait a minute, instead of takeout, why not make it yourself? It's healing, it's easy, delicious, it's decadent. And I'm going to show you how to make it. Let's go. Start out by adding to a large mixing bowl 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And this is not sponsored, but this double-acting baking powder is the bomb. In the spirit of starting out with your dry ingredients, add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. As you can see, I'm just using a regular teaspoon for my drawer, keeping it simple. Go ahead and whisk that together, and next you will need whole fat plain yogurt. Add just 1/3 cup to 1/2 cup. Remember, if you need more, you can add it. Easier than adding in more flour as you go, and that way is so messy. As you see, I am not using a mixer. You don't need a mixer. You just need your hands and a positive attitude. Attitude is everything when you're cooking. Cooking is so healing. It gets you out of your mind. If you're trying to heal from disability or trauma, cooking is a better therapy than that couch, in my opinion. And I am a doctor of psychology. Now, it's time to knead your dough. You can always use a mixer, but if you're into your food healing you, if you're trying to eat to live instead of living to eat, you will need to use your hands. Your food has its own energy, just like you. And in order for this merge of energy to really work and serve its higher purpose, you will need to use your hands. You get it? Need to use your hands. Anyways, see how it is flaky in the beginning? That's perfect. As it forms, you will need to add a little of flour just as it gets sticky, and just kind of wanted to do this real time for you so you can see for yourself how the process works. As you knead it with your hands, it gets really sticky. In that moment, you really want to make sure that your thoughts are positive and the energy that you're putting into the food is good. But it will start to form, and you just simply add a little dough to it. A little flour at a time. Fold it and use your knuckles to kind of massage it. Kneading is like a massage. And it's relaxing and it's forming and it's so therapeutic. It's a little messy, but it's so worth it. As the process goes forward, it'll start to form a little ball. Go ahead and roll it into the ball, put it at the bottom of the bowl, and cover your bowl with a towel and set it aside for 5 minutes. Next step, put some olive oil in a small mixing bowl, about 1.5 tablespoons, and cut up your herbs. I must admit, for this meal, I do prefer cilantro. I just don't have any. A good cook can improvise. I have some parsley, and parsley is an herb that will give a synergetic effect and amplify the energy you put into the food. Remove the leaves from the stem, chop them up, put them in your olive oil with a sprinkle of salt, onion powder, and garlic powder. Mix it up and set it aside. Next up, that dough should be ready. Put some flour on your cutting board or countertop and check it. You know it's ready when you push the dough in and it rises back up, just like a phoenix. Go ahead and cut them into 4 pieces as equal as you can get it. Roll them into little balls. If you want them to have perfect circular shapes, then make sure it's a well-formed ball. Next, get your rolling pin and give it a go. Don't fret. If it's sticky, just sprinkle a little flour on your rolling pin and take your time. I like to use a wooden rolling pin. Again, do you know how much energy a tree carries? It's going into your food. The idea here is to roll your dough out very thin, because when you place it on the heat, it will rise and get thicker. So I guess it's a matter of preference. Now, it's time to place your flatbread dough on the skillet. That's right. You don't need a griddle pan or some special pan that goes in your oven. Keep it simple here. I have here a non-stick on a medium heat. My dial is on 6. I have just a drizzle, like maybe 1/3 teaspoon of olive oil, and I let it get hot, and then I place my dough in the pan. When it starts to bubble on the one side, I check the bottom, and when it gets to that color and that browning that I like, it's all a matter of preference. I will remove the flatbread, put it on the other side, but before I do that, I'm going to drizzle a little more olive oil in my pan, let that get a little hot, and then return my flatbread to the pan flipped over. Put it on a plate and remove it from the burner, because you don't want your skillet to get too hot for the next. And then brush on my olive oil mixture, and then repeat until all my flatbread is done. It's so simple and it's fun. It smells so good. Next up, place 2 chicken breasts in salted water to boil. Then we will mince some garlic. You can use up to 5 cloves. Then I cut long ways and then 1/3 of a sweet onion. Half will go into my Saag paneer and the other into my chicken Tikka masala. Place them in a bowl and put them aside. For the next step, cut into bite-sized pieces 1 or 2 tomatoes. I have here a sweet tomato from the vine. Put it in a bowl and place it aside. Then for the next step, you're just going to clean about 300 to 450 grams of spinach. And that's for Palak Paneer, which is just spinach. For Saag paneer, you want 300 grams of spinach and about 150 grams of collard greens or some fenugreek leaves. Next up, we are going to make sure that you know that you need to put your tofu in a towel unless you're going to use cheese. I use tofu in my Saag Paneer or my Palak Paneer. You take it out of the towel when all the liquid has soaked out, cut it into bite-sized pieces, and place it aside. Oh my goodness, see how easy this is coming together? Next up, start a pot of boiling water for your greens. And then remove your chicken and put them on a plate. Set them on the side on your counter or your cutting board for shredding. Then add to your pan some olive oil. Heat it up and begin to place in your tofu, now browning them to golden perfection on both sides. The bigger pieces, I brown the sides of them as well, but that's a matter of preference. This process should only take you 3 to 6 minutes. So yeah, that water should now be boiling. Go ahead and place in your greens. You can add a dash of salt to them if you'd like. I have here coarse kosher salt. I'll see. Look at that golden brown on our tofu. Go ahead and finish that up. Put them on a plate and place them aside. In the meantime, we will shred up our chicken or cut them in bite-sized pieces. It's a matter of preference. As you can see, they are not all the way done. It's okay. They will cook further in the pan with our onions and garlic. I don't know. It must be the child in me. Cooking is so fun. I love the fluffiness of shredded chicken. The next step we're going to do is blend our greens. You can puree them, but I like to have them slightly chunky. It's a matter of preference. Go ahead and pulse it a few times or blend it to a smooth consistency. Next step, place a half a tablespoon of oil in your pot. Warm it up and begin to saute your onions. Stir them around, but wait until they are slightly brown and the sugar is released. Put in the other half of your minced garlic, and then we can begin to add our seasonings. First, 1/4 to a half teaspoon of ginger. Make it fresh, or you can use powdered. If you use powdered, make sure you use a half teaspoon. 1/4 to a half teaspoon of coriander. 1/4 or half teaspoon of cumin. 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. 1/4 to a half teaspoon turmeric. And then you want 1.5 teaspoons of garam masala. My friends, when it comes to garam masala, don't be shy. The more the better. Put in a nice healthy pinch of salt and pepper to taste, and go ahead and mix that on up. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and place in your tomatoes, which I didn't do. But it's okay. There's no mistakes in the kitchen. Tell that to a burnt plate of food, right? But go ahead and put in your mixed greens or your spinach. Stir that up, and oh my goodness, the aromas are going to hit your nose like somebody slapped you in the face. It smells so good. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you. I want you to do this so that your house will be smelling like this for weeks. Trust me, you'll love it. You'll wake up to it. It's so healing, so therapeutic. It's a distraction, the smell. It gets you out of your head, the very aroma. It's like aromatherapy. This meal is aromatherapy. Then we're going to go ahead and put in a half to a whole can of coconut milk. Stir it up and let it simmer and fill your house up with the most deliciousness. So good. Next step, in a large pan, place in 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Warm it up and saute the other half of your onions. When they become translucent, you can put in your chicken. Now I have plenty of chicken here, so if you want it to be more saucy, just put in a little more than half of your chicken. You can always use the rest for chicken salad sandwiches. Then all you need to do is mix that up well because the onions will act as flavoring. Then put in the rest of your garlic and stir that up as well. After, you can go ahead and put a dash of salt and pepper and a dash of garam masala. Mix that up. My friends, have you tried Kroger's Indian Inspirations Tikka Masala sauce? It's so good. OMG. And if you are living with a disability of heart disease, it has a lower sodium content than most other sauces. It's not sponsored, but I've tried them all. And all of them, they all have their own uniqueness. But Kroger's brand, the Indian Inspirations Tikka Masala sauce, it's so authentic. Stir it in, put in a little water, and let simmer for 5 to 7 minutes. After that, we will be able to put our tofu into our Saag Paneer. Stir and let simmer as well. And guess what? It's time to plate. From the warm cilantro or parsley emanating from your soft, perfectly golden brown flatbread to this delicious, heavenly aromatics of saag or Palak Paneer. By the way, as it cools, it will turn into a thicker consistency that we've all grown to love, just like that takeout Saag Paneer. Right down to our chicken tikka masala. If you're living with heart disease and or some other process that requires you to eat 4 to 6 small meals a day, this meal is perfect. And trust me, you will love it. It tastes so good. Even if you don't have to use 4 to 6 meals a day, you're gonna want to. It really is that good. It's so snackable. It's healthy. It's easy to make. It's so delicious, my friends. This is decadent. Here's to your health. You're child. Thank you for watching. If you've been blessed by this content, help the phoenixhealingministries.org grow and subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up and share our content. You're worth it. You're worthy. You're enough. You're God's child. And as always, it is not just your spirituality that can define your journey. It's your journey that can define your spirituality.